Utah Politics.
Time now to debate some of the big stories of the week with the Inside Utah Politics panel. This week we have State Representative Candace Perucci and Darlene McDonald, the Democratic nominee in Utah's 4th Congressional District. Thanks so much for being here. Glad to have both of you with us.
Thanks for having us, Glenn.
Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with economic issues. A recent ABC poll showing a vast majority, I'm talking in the 70s and 80%, saying the economy, inflation, and gas prices are the most important issues when it will determine how they vote in the general election. Before we dig into that, I would like to hear what both of you are hearing as you are out and about. Representative, what are you hearing from your constituents on the impact this is having on their lives?
Thanks for the question, Glenn. This is a really important issue to me and my family and my district. I have one of the youngest districts in the state and lots of young families right now who are just trying to pay their bills. Quite frankly, the cost of gas that's gone through the roof, groceries that are going through the roof. You've got a formula shortage right now that is heavily weighing on the minds of parents and concerned about how they're going to put Cheerios on the table for their kiddos. A lot of the people I've talked to, the emails, the calls I've been getting, people are having to tap into their savings right now to just buy groceries, to be able to purchase gas, to be able to get to and from their job, and it's not sustainable. And it's to me a clear reflection of terrible policies and decisions that have led to this.
Darlene, let's get your thoughts. You're busy campaigning in the district. What are you hearing from people as you are out and about?
Well, first of all, I also want to thank you for having me on, and everything that Candace has said is true. I have heard a lot from the constituents in Congressional District 4 when I make calls and also visit with them that this is a pressing issue for many of the young families that are in this district. It is the result of a cost push inflation that we are currently on, and it didn't occur overnight. I think what we need, especially here in Utah and in Washington, are politicians who are willing to work together to solve the problem rather than wait for catastrophe or even just wait for bad things to happen so that they can campaign on it. We can actually work together so that we can do things for the American people and especially for the constituents here in Utah. So that is what I'm hoping that we can do across the aisle, is work together to solve this problem because it didn't occur overnight.
Representative, do you have something you want to respond to?
I'd love to
there?
add to that. Yes, so I would echo that in energy independence. Utah, this is something we could be a clear leader in. It's something that even under President Obama, there were a little over 60 permits that were issued. President Biden has issued 0. I mean, we're ready to step up to the table to help. Obviously, the war in Ukraine and everything going on in Eastern Europe is adding to this problem. But certainly pulling back on permitting and our ability to be energy independent at home is not helping, and it's exacerbating the issue. So definitely looking to that. In the legislature, we've looked to places where we can make tax cuts and put more money, people's hard-earned money, back in their pockets. I think that's important. So absolutely, but I will just add, I think as we move into the election cycle and into the primary and then on to the general, a lot of people are going to be weighing in their minds, has my life improved? Has government policies made it better? And I think for a lot of people, the answer is no, and it's not sustainable for them and their families at this point.
Darlene, dig into that a little. You mentioned solutions that you think both sides can work on. What are those?
Well, when you have a cost push inflation that is caused by the high cost of production, you have to understand exactly where it came from and how it started. And this goes way back, even when we were under, unfortunately, the lockdowns under COVID-19 that started in 2019, 2020. And even this pen, that I have on right now, I ordered these pens for convention, and they didn't arrive until well after convention because the production plant was shut down because everyone had COVID. So this is still a problem. And when you talk about the high inflation, this is coming from because of the cost of production, the cost to move products, and that inflates the prices, as well as wages, to get people to come to work. People were putting their life on the line just to go to work, especially many frontline workers who were mostly impacted by COVID-19 and were demanding higher wages. So, and as we all know, we also had the bottleneck, the supply bottleneck, where it just wasn't, supplies were not getting through. So all of this compound to the inflation that we are seeing today.
Okay, so I'm hearing two different ideas on how we got here from both of you, but if you take a look at polls, American voters are holding the president responsible. Only 37% approve of how he is handling the economic recovery. Representative, how is that going to reflect in the midterm elections?
Look, when you already have a hot economy, dumping more stimulus money is not the answer on it, and that's contributed in a large part to our increased inflation is government spending and the decisions and policies that have been made in Washington, D.C. And I genuinely believe that's going to impact how people vote in this election. Of course, you have your camps of strictly and strongly R and strictly and strongly Democrat, but you have your unaffiliates and you have your independents, and a lot of them are going to weigh the policy decisions that have been made and, quite frankly, how it's impacted their bottom line and vote accordingly.
Darlene, you will be on the ticket as a Democrat in November. How do you see this current situation impacting the election?
It will definitely impact it. Just like you said, you cannot get around this issue. People feel it at the gas pump. They feel it when they go to the grocery store. The economic stimulus was necessary because our economy was at a standstill. That is the reason why we needed an influx of cash into the economy. Unfortunately, a lot of us suffer from short-term memory, and we don't remember that people were staying home unable to work because they had either caught the virus, or manufacturing plants or their place of business was completely shut down. And because of that, we needed an economic stimulus so that we can build the economy back up. So no one is actually talking about inducing another stimulus package right now. What we are trying to do, though, is take the money that is already there and allow it to work for the American people and find out how we can solve some of these problems, whether that is providing some money so that people can have some assistance at the gas pump, or maybe, I know we talk about fuel efficiency vehicles like hybrids and things like that. Instead of taxing those vehicles, encouraging people to buy hybrids or electric vehicles. These are things that will be a long-term gain for the American people, and especially for Utah.
Okay, there's a lot more I'd like to dig into this, but unfortunately we're running short on time, and I want to get into one other topic real fast, and that is marriage equality. Senator Derek Kitchen during the week saying he wants to sponsor a bill to codify it here in the state of Utah, referencing the anticipated Roe v. Wade ruling and the reasoning there. Representative, do you think that's necessary?
You know, I don't. We'll see where this bill goes and what the next few weeks bring in general for this. But I will tell you, it is quite a leap, in my opinion, to go from looking at the case of Roe v. Wade and what is a leaked draft decision, which I hope would be the actual outcome and the final decision, but we're still yet to hear that it would send the decision of abortion back to state legislators, back to state law, to then take a jump to say now gay marriage is on the line. I don't see that logical jump there. I really don't. I think that is something that is here to stay in Utah. And as I've been interacting with other colleagues, no one is making any comments that, oh, now we need to go after gay marriage. This is what that means. I don't see that making that logical jump at all being an issue here in Utah.
Darlene, your thoughts. Is this necessary, or is it a solution in search of a problem?
First of all, I want to congratulate Representative Kitchen for looking beyond the Roe v. Wade decision. When the leaked document was made public, the first thing that came to my mind was the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. And I suspect that Representative Kitchen is thinking the same way. We have to think beyond that Roe v. Wade is about to be pushed to the states, which is problematic within itself. But there are many decisions that were decided under the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause, starting with Brown v. Board of Education. Brown v. Board of Education defined the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment. So what Representative Kitchen is doing is thinking, and I applaud him for doing so, that if Roe v. Wade is now being pushed to the state and jeopardized because now the Equal Protection Clause has been redefined by the Supreme Court, then same-sex marriage, marriage equality, how we vote, everything that was my marriage to my husband, who is white, was also a decision that was made under the Equal Protection Clause under the 14th Amendment.
Okay.
I say we all should be thinking about that and be very afraid. Be very afraid.
Unfortunately, we have run out of time. Good arguments on both sides. I appreciate having both of you with us this morning. Thanks for being here.